Hello everyone, it's Mary Bush here with Stampin' in the Sand. Thank you for joining me for my Thursday live at 5 card class. You're either catching me here live on my Facebook page or during the after live posted to my YouTube channel, as well as staying pinned here on my Facebook page. And I'm getting a little distracted by what I think is an osprey about to dive into the water and catch his dinner. Sorry, I digress. I'm waiting for some folks to join me. Hi, Robin. And I got distracted by a bird. I need to not look out the window. Hi, Karen. Hi, Adrian. So today I was going to do a class. Hold on. I was going to do a class featuring some of our butterfly dies in our butterfly embossing folder that are retiring from our annual catalog. And I had to completely cancel what I was going to do because the dies and the embossing folder are sold out. They're gone. So this is the card that I wanted to make because it's really pretty and gold and sparkly. But we've already sold out of the products. So if you're looking at some of the retiring items, such as these butterfly dies, or some of the embossing folders or designer series paper, cardstock, etc., that's retiring, things are flying off the shelves. No pun intended with the butterflies, but the butterflies are flying off the shelves. So the only ones left are, I think, the bold butterfly dies. And I was going to use that in class today, but then I thought, well, that could disappear, could be gone by now too. So earlier today, I just got chopping some masculine papers, and I was inspired by another demonstrator in our demonstrator Facebook group. Well, it wasn't on our demonstrator Facebook group. It was on our Love It, Chop It Facebook group. And her name is Michelle Mathwin. And I believe she's from the UK. But she had these masculine cards and they were really, really fabulous. And I stole kind of her diagonal cut technique that she had done because it fits my latest Love It, Chop It craze, and allowed me to not only continue to share my Love It, Chop It formula with you, but also gave you some really quick and easy masculine cards that you could absolutely create a stack of and have on the go. And they're perfectly coordinated because they use our designer series paper, and just a couple of chops and you'll have a whole stack of cards. So I thought it was great for today's class for two reasons. One, it's retiring product. So the designer series paper and the stamp set that I'm using are retiring with the end of the annual catalog. Now our stamps will continue to be produced through mid to late May. So those aren't going to sell out as quickly as, say, the dies. The designer series paper is more than likely as supplies last. And with this paper, I am trying very, very hard not to order a bunch of it because I love this. I have been using this for such a long time and I've gotten so many cards out of one pack. If you've been following along with me here in my Live at 5 series, these are some more cards that we've created using this designer series paper. This one uses the stamp set with the paper. It also uses our bow builder punch, which is retiring. We're not going to be able to make these adorable bow ties anymore. So if you want to make some bow ties to go with your masculine cards, grab that punch because it's retiring. We also created these shirt pocket cards, which were a big hit. Used our metal rim pearls, the stamp set. This is the pocket framelets, and I believe those are carrying over. But if they're bundled currently in with the stamp set in the annual catalog, they're going to be debundled when they carry over. So you get your 10% off savings when you buy a bundle of dies and stamps, just so you know. So this had the punch and stamp set that we're using today, which is a bundle, and then the pocket dies and stamp set, which is another bundle. But this is cute because the pocket's actually a pocket and you can create a gift card holder instead of tucking in the paper money and the paper glasses. So that's another class that I have saved here on my Facebook page. If you dig around, I'm sure you can find it. It's also on my YouTube channel. We also created this fun fold card in one of our classes with the Fox Builder Punch. So another cute masculine idea, giving masculine cuteness. I also created this card using the same designer series and punch. I just fussy cut a bow to put on the top of the stamped image. So that's another alternative for you. And then this is just another one of our Fox Builder cards where we created the fancy fold again, except this is a scalloped rectangle instead of the flat-edged rectangle. So just a few more ideas using this designer series paper. If you're not sold on it by the time this class is over, then masculine cards aren't your thing. Because I love it. So the paper we're using today, this is called the True Gentleman Designer Series paper. It comes in a bunch of fabulous different prints. They're all double-sided. This pack's been hacked up pretty good. But there's some great neutral stripes and herringbone pattern. Love it, love it. Hi, Linda. Hi, Lisa. So that is in our occasions catalog or in my online store. And it's part of the True Gentleman Suite. If you have the occasions catalog, you'll find it on pages 44 and 45. And there's a whole bunch more card samples right here in the book. So I'm using today the True Gentleman Designer Series paper. And I'm also using the Truly Tailored stamp set with the tailored tag punch. Now you can order those items separately, but there is bundle pricing. So if you get the wood mount stamp set, it's $41.25. Clear mount stamp set is $34, and that's for the stamp set and the punch. And a note to you, if you're thinking about ordering the Stamparatus when it becomes available in June in the new annual catalog, or if you pre-ordered a Stamparatus, you'll be able to use your clear mount stamps with the Stamparatus, but not your wood mount stamps. So that's just another thing to consider when you're ordering. Last little bit of business before we get to stamping. I do have a new Hostess Club that's beginning this month. And all you have to do to join my club is place an order of $30 or more in my online store. Enter this month's Hostess Club code, which is right here at checkout. It'll give you an automatic enrollment. Club members will automatically receive a welcome packet from me, an email, and then welcome cards and further information, free card tutorials, etc. And this week, I'm also offering, in addition or separately, my usual, I should say, Live at 5 free gift with purchase is a 6-card kit or a 4-card kit. 4-card kit with orders of $50 or less, 6-card kit with $50 or more placed in my online store using the Live at 5 Hostess code, which is this one right here. This week we have the Petal Garden card kit going out to customers, as well as my Flying Home 4-card tutorial. And that's a 4-card step-by-step PDF tutorial featuring the Flying Home stamp set. If you didn't catch my live the other day to see the Petal Garden card kit in action, we created a bunch of cards using one stamp set and the Petal Garden kit, Petal Garden card kit and the Petal Garden Designer Series paper. So this is just some of the cards that we featured on Tuesday. So if you missed it on Tuesday, you can catch the replay either on my YouTube channel or on my Facebook channel. And your card kits that you receive for placing orders in my online store will contain the card bases and the pre-cut Designer Series paper. I'm not allowed to send out stamped images in my card kits. So the only thing that I can send you out is the card bases and the pre-cut Designer Series paper. So that's what you would be getting, is the materials to make 4 or 6 of cards such as you see here. So let's get started on today's class. It looks like we have a good group that have joined us already. So let's get started on creating these masculine cards. We have a couple of different options here. One uses the stitched circle shape with a layering scallop circle. Blah. And then we also have the what did I just call that? Oh my gosh. The tailored tag punch coordinating with the stamp set. So there's two different designs here. You could also certainly do a stitched square or a stitched oval. I'm just trying to keep it more simple. So the less supplies we had to bring to the table today, the better. And actually I need to move that because we need to do some cutting. And I had my trimmer. I'm trying to put everything within arm's reach. I have short arms. So if you've been following my Love It, Chop It series, it all starts with basic cuts. So here in the US, our card sizes are 4 inches by 5 1/4. By 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So my designer series papers are all cut to 4 by 5 1/4. The reason for that is 4 is divisible into 12. 4 1/4 is not. So I do all my cuts at 4 by 5 1/4. My first cut is always at the 5 1/4, and I always pay attention to the pattern on my paper. So if I'm going to cut at 5 1/4 this way, and then 4 this way, my stripes are going to be going certain directions. Now, if you have a pattern such as this, it really doesn't matter how you make your cuts because it's more of a random pattern. So when you're following these formulas, just make sure you pay attention to the direction of your paper. So my cuts are going to be at 5 1/4. Okay, and then I'm going to cut again at 5 1/4. And if you've been following my Live at 5 classes, you can probably recite right along with me. So there's 5 1/4 again. And this leaves me this nice strip here. This is a full 12-inch strip, should be 1.5 inches wide. And I can use this in many ways. I can cut it down to 1/2-inch strips and then cut those 1/2-inch wide strips down even further. And I use those on the insides of my cards for my greeting layer on the inside. Or I can, and that's how if I cut it down to 4s or 5 1/4 inch lengths, either way. Or I can cut it into 4-inch pieces and turn it into banners that can lay on my card fronts. Or I can cut it into 5 1/4 inch pieces and use it as stripes going fully across the front of my card, or vertically or horizontally. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use this piece. What I suggest is, until you know what you're going to do with your pre-cut pieces and what cards you're going to design, is I like to leave these as a whole 12-inch strip until I know what I'm going to use it for, if that makes sense. So then I come in with my 5 1/4 by 12-inch pieces and I cut them all down to 4. All right. And I'm hoping this whole entire thing is in the camera because I can't see the bottom. Where the comments scroll up on my device, it kind of makes it like a faded gray-black color. So I can't see the total bottom of my screen, but I hope I'm in there. Thank you, Karen. I just love this paper too. I'm addicted to it. I have one pack that I haven't opened yet, and I'm doing, it's taking everything I can muster not to do another order because I really love this paper. All right, so now I can take that, I can't take this out of the way. Oh, hello, Mary, we have to cut the paper. All right, so to make the diagonal cuts, all I've done is place this in my trimmer, and I hope you can see it. And I'm taking this top left corner, and I'm lining up the bottom right-hand corner and the top left-hand corner into the track of my paper trimmer. So depending on how your trimmer is set up, that will show you, it'll tell you where you need to line up your paper in order to cut it. So now I have 2 diagonal cuts. So if I do that with another coordinating cardstock designer series paper piece, that's how you get the puzzle pieces to put together to have 2 separate coordinating pieces. Now, math is not my strong suit, and I don't think I ever took geometry. So I can't tell you how to line it up in your paper to get the matching cut using math. So I do the tried and true, just line it up and copy it method. So all I did is lay the piece I already cut on top of this piece, and it should be as easy as flip it over and cut it the same way, but can I tell you that I did that with 3 different pieces of paper, and it did not come out the same, and I had these really weird angles. So I use the line it up and trace it method. Hey, whatever works. Laugh at me if you must. So the great thing about our designer series papers is that they're bound to coordinate one side to the other. So I can use this on a card, and I have the same blue in here as I have in here. And to cover up the seam, all I did is bring in a piece of coordinating cardstock. And we know we all have these 1/2-inch strips, right? Because here in the US, when you cut your cardstock down to say 4 by 5 1/4 for a mat, or 3 3/4 by 5 for a mat, you always end up with these 1/2-inch strips. And I save all of my 1/2-inch strips because they make great banners. They're great for sentiments when they're on Very Vanilla or Whisper White. And you never know when you're going to use them. They're perfect for lining the inside of a card. So I have a ton of these hanging around, and now I have another use for them. So isn't that cool? So we don't need these. I'm going to take these out because I've already pre-cut some other papers to show you. So we have a whole bunch of different things that we can play with here. So we have this, and I think I'm actually going to take this one out and use this one. I like that one. We just cut it, so we may as well use it, right? And I have the bow ties on a whole bunch of different papers. All right, so I have this. And then to go along with it, I have one of those leftover strips to go on the inside of my card. I have a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of Very Vanilla to line the inside of my card with for writing to my recipient. And then I have a card base, which is our standard A2 here in the US, and it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. So I have that, and then I have my coordinating piece of Night of Navy. This is Night of Navy, if I didn't say that already. Night of Navy 1/2-inch strip. That's just for covering the seam. Now on this card, and I also have a scallop circle. If we decide to go that route, I pre-cut. For this one, I have a Night of Navy card base, except I cut it the long way. Then I have my insert. I have a coordinating strip from the same designer series paper for the inside as well. But this time I'm going to mat it, the designer series paper. I'm going to mat it with a piece of chocolate chip. And then I have my 4 by 5 1/4 cut on the diagonal designer series paper. So my mat is just 1/8 of an inch larger. And again, don't ask me to talk math and fractions. It's not going to happen, not even with stamping. And then this time, I'm using a piece of Very Vanilla 1/2-inch strip to cover the seam in the middle. So now we just have to do some stamping. So So we're gonna move all this aside. I have some Scrap Very Vanilla. And the other thing I neglected to tell you, in case you're trying to figure out where I'm getting all my colors from, and excuse the glare. Boy, that's a terrible glare. Maybe I'll take that plastic out of here. So on the back of all of our designer series papers, it tells you what colors coordinate. And the True Gentleman Designer Series paper, it includes chocolate chip, which is also a retiring color. So if you like this chocolate chip color, make sure you have your ink pad, your re-inkers, your cardstock. I just realized I am out of chocolate chip cardstock. I have a few teeny tiny little pieces left after I cut for this kit. I'm out of chocolate chip. I have nothing. It's sad. I don't know how that happened. Crumb cake, crushed curry, night of navy, tranquil tide, and very vanilla. So those are the colors that will perfectly coordinate with this designer series paper should you decide to stamp a stack of cards. All right, so we have our truly tailored stamp set, and you can't see that. I'm trying to prop it up, but you can't see it. Truly tailored stamp set. I've already mounted my To a Classy Kind of Guy is already mounted on here. And then this one is the Wishing You a Dapper Day. So that's the one I used for my circle cuts. I'm also using the neutral Stampin' Right markers. And again, chocolate chip is retiring, so you may want to pick up this collection of markers if you like that chocolate chip. I can't remember if any of these other colors are retiring, and that's really bad, but I'm having a hard enough problem figuring out what's retiring from stamps and dies and everything else. I haven't even gone to the colors yet to pull them off my rack. That's going to be a sad day. I pulled all my stamps, but I can't bring it upon myself to pull my colors yet. So I also have my Night of Navy ink pad, I have my chocolate chip ink pad, and I have my crumb cake ink pad. Oh my God, Mai? Is that, how do you pronounce your name? M-A-I, Mai? From Ireland. That is so cool. I'm Irish. My maiden name is O'Neill. My grandparents came over a long, long time ago from Ireland. That's so cool. Welcome to my class. It's so good to have you here. So what else? I also am playing with the Layering Circles Framelits dies. And my tried and true favorites, the ones you see me use all the time, the Stitched Shapes Framelits dies. I am addicted to these dies. I use them for just about everything. They are a staple. I don't think they ever get put away. And I also have part of our suite here is this Night of Navy ribbon. And this is corduroy ribbon. This is amazing stuff. It's so much fun to work with. I'm gonna have to pick up another roll of this if I can get it before it sells out, because we just don't have anything else like this. It's so amazing, especially for masculine cards. So let's do some stamping. What I've done now, I have to think about what I want to do on my cards. So our colors in this one, okay, in this pattern that we cut, that is the Night of Navy and Tranquil Tide. So I think for that one, I'm going to use this Classy Kind of Guy one, because I don't think I can do a mustache in blue or green. I'm weird. Color me weird. I can't help it. I can't do it. My brain does not allow me to do that. So that means I have to get my markers. Hold on. Oh, I seriously should have pulled out everything, because I should have known that I would use a different color than I had prepared. So I have to get, from my in color collection, I need to get my Tranquil Tide marker, because we're going to play with our stamp. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to ink up my stamp in Night of Navy. Make sure that's good and inked. Okay. I'm going to close that because you know me, and I'm going to stick something in the ink pad. Then I'm taking a Q-tip and I am removing the ink from the comb. All right. Then I'm going to take my Tranquil Tide marker and I'm going to color the comb, just the comb, with my Tranquil Tide. Okay. Stacy, this is the second time they retired chocolate chip? I don't remember that. I've been around for a while, but I don't really remember chocolate chip retiring previously. Okay, so see how that looks? So now there's just a little bit of difference. So it's not all Night of Navy. The comb shows up a little different. And you could reverse it. You could do the Tranquil Tide as you're to a classy kind of guy and do your comb in the blue. But I didn't do that. I did it this way. So we're going to let that dry. And now I have my Wishing You a Dapper Day. And that one is going to go on this card over here. We have a Night of Navy card base. So I think I'm going to use the Night of Navy again for my main stamped image. But then watch what I did. So this is a cling mount stamp. So this is the clear mount stamp, which clings to our clear blocks. They come with labels that you can adhere to the back of the stamp so that when you look down through your clear stamp, you can see what's on the opposite side. But I found if I didn't get my labels on perfectly, it messed me up because I thought as it appeared on the sticker was exactly how the stamp was. And sometimes that's not exactly how you line it up when you put the sticker on. So I leave my stickers off, which is fine. They stay in the case, you know, so they're still there. But I also cut the mustache off. Oh, Karen, you don't have this yet? You've got to get it. Because by the time you decide you have to have it, it's going to be gone. So I cut the mustache off. So why did I do that? Because then it gives me more flexibility for this Wishing You a Dapper Day sentiment. It fits in more shapes without the mustache. And say I was going to give this to my husband. He doesn't have a mustache, so I may not want to give him a card with a mustache. I may want to just give him the Wishing You a Dapper Day and put a bow tie up here instead. So I cut the mustache off, and it fits right back in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink up my Night of Navy on my greeting, my main message. Move that out of the way before I create a crisis with it. And then I need another block, and I'm going to get, excuse the label on my block, just going to put my mustache on there, and then I'm going to get the chocolate chip ink pad. I guess while I'm at it, I should recap my marker, right? I'm going to get my mustache. I'm going to ink it up in the chocolate chip. Get that out of there. I don't want to catch any edges and ruin my project. So I'm just going to use my Q-tip to clean off that excess ink. I hate when I catch an edge or get a halo. And you know what I'm talking about. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's caught an edge and gotten a halo. So then, whoops, I always want to put this back in upside down. So now I can pop him back in where he goes. Okay, because he fits right back in there. Okay, I can huff on it in case it's dried at all while I was sitting there. And I'm going to hope I stamped this in a spot where I can fit a circle, because that will be horrifying. So now see, I have this nice brown mustache, and I have my Wishing You a Dapper Day in the Night of Navy. And they're fit together perfectly. Love it. Just a little trick for you. So we don't need that anymore. I'm gonna move this over a bit and we need to come in with the Big Shot. Okay. And no, I still haven't replaced the screw on my Big Shot. And I haven't retired Cracks yet. Cracks is still hanging in there. All right. So all we need to do now is die cut our Wishing You a Dapper Day and punch our Classy Kinda Guy. So the first thing I'll do is punch my Classy Kinda Guy so he doesn't get marks on him going through the Big Shot. All right, so there's that one. And now we can send through Wishing You a Dapper Day. Get that nice and lined up. Make sure it's not too crooked. I could spend all day moving this around trying to get it perfect. All right. So I'm going to crank that through. That pop you heard was just the, I don't have the plate on all the way level. So it had to grab the plate. All right, let's see if I can get this out of here without knocking you guys in the head. All right, I'm just gonna put that under the table because I'm done with it. All right, so we can pop that out and throw that aside. And if you were with me the other day, I'm going to immediately return this to its holder because remember the other day when I lost my die and it was right in front of me but under something? So I couldn't do what I wanted to do. I had to improvise. Yeah, we're putting it away. All right, so let's put our cards together. So this card, I'm going to show you two different ways. On this card, we're just going to adhere the designer series paper to the front of the card without that additional layer behind it, because you don't have to use the extra supplies if you don't have them available or if you don't care to. And we're going to use this blue. And if you have an easier way to do this than I'm going to do, shout it out. I'm willing to listen to anything. But I've tried a whole bunch of different things, and this is the one that I've decided to go with. So I'm just laying my designer series paper down next to my strip. And I'm laying my glue down approximately the length of it. And then, if I want it to go, I think I want it to go this way. So I have to flip it over. So I'm just going to lay this down centered as much as I can anyway onto the strip and then glue down its counterpart. And this end is a little bit crooked, but the glue gives me a little bit of flexibility to shift it a bit. So then when I flip it over, it's going across like that. And then we just need to trim. So where are my scissors? Well, I've already made a mess. So we're just gonna bring in some random scissors because I don't know where my snips went. So I'm just gonna trim the edges here. Okay, so far I've gotten great idea for doing it this way, for gluing down my little strip. Looks clever to me. Thanks, Linda. Because I tried putting the glue on the designer series paper and then matching this up. I tried all sorts of different ways, and this way was the way that was easiest to me in the long run. All right, so now I'm just gonna take some more glue on the back. And I'm gonna glue it down on the front of the card. So this will show you what the cards look like when you have that extra layer and when you don't. So we'll show you two different ways. All right, so that's the designer series paper. And then we need dimensionals. And in the best laid plans, they're buried too. So I'm gonna put some dimensionals. Is that the right side of my circle? No. Ugh. All right, I've got to go get those new bifocals because this is driving me nuts, taking my glasses off and then I can't see anything. Yes, I know, I've been complaining about needing my bifocals for a long time. 6 months? No, I haven't done it yet. All right. So I'm just gonna layer that onto my scalloped circle. Okay, I'm gonna pull this off. And I'm going to add a little bit of ribbon. So what I'm gonna do is measure about where I want the ribbon on the card to start and end. And snip it off. Then I can fold it. I'm gonna fold it in half the other way. I'm gonna fold it in half the skinny way and go from the corner to the center. And now I have my little banner on the end, or from the middle to the outside corners, either way. I'm going to use my tried and true fast fuse. I know that that's being discontinued. The sound you heard when they announced that was me crying. You could just as easily use the Tombow glue for this, or glue dots. But by the time I futz around with either one of those, you guys will be asleep. So I'm gonna just use my fast fuse. So I have that ribbon, then I'll just line up my Dapper Day, and there's our card. There's one of them. So to finish it off, I've got my, oh, I could use that on the other piece that we cut. But I can't use it on this piece, so I'm gonna do this. So this one that I'm using for the inside is a very neutral, like sweater pattern. So you know it's gonna coordinate with all of your designer series papers as just a little extra embellishment on the inside. And it doesn't really, it's not gonna detract from your writing or anything, or your message, because it's just a nice neutral pattern. But it just gives a little something to your card. And when you're doing your inside, what I've done sometimes is if I know it's going to be like a birthday card and I do happy birthday or something, I can take that mustache that I had cut away from the stamp, and I can put it like at an angle near the happy birthday. I'm just gonna leave it plain for now because I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know what kind of card this is gonna be. So it's fine the way it is for now. And also too, if you're stamping your coordinating envelope, we have these beautiful, very vanilla envelopes in our online store that coordinate. You could put the mustache on the flap, or you could run a row of mustaches along the bottom. You could easily decorate your envelope to match your card. And I usually try to do that all at the same time. So there's that one. Now on this card, we're going to basically do the same thing, but we have this additional mat. So we're gonna take our glue, lay our strip, take our glue, and lay it down length of our strip, flip it over, try to center it the best we can. Sometimes these angle cuts aren't as easy to center, but it's not truly going to matter. I don't think anyone, well, I might look at the card and say, that's not exactly centered. But your average person is not going to notice. So see how that makes this nice layer on your card? All right, now I just have to snip. So can you see how easily you could create a stack of these cards just using that simple cut? I don't know, I guess you could call it a one-sheet wonder, but it's just your basic starter cuts are to create your 6 4x5 1/4 pieces of designer series paper. And then from there, you can make additional cuts to make unique cards. So instead of just using that one 4x5 1/4 inch piece of designer series paper on the front of a card, which looks perfectly fine too, and is what we did the other day, and say this card, this is just one piece of that 4x5 1/4. But I could have done angle cuts. I could do an inch off of one side or the other. I could do 2 1/4 inches off top or bottom and flip them. So just by having a stack of these 4x5 1/4 inch pieces of your designer series paper, you can make it as simple or as dramatic as you want just by making further cuts. So now this one's going down on that mat. And again, the mat is only 1/8 of an inch larger, so it just gives us a really, really skinny border, but just enough to bring that chocolate chip in with the Night of Navy, put it on a Night of Navy base, and it's now going to be all tied together. Now you could also put this layer on dimensionals. I'm not doing it because I may want to give this as a box set to somebody. And the less bulky it is, the better, as you know, when you're creating a box set. It also makes it easier for sending out quick thank you cards or thinking of you cards with less bulk, because you know you can just pop it in the mail with standard postage and you don't have to worry about having it weighed or getting extra postage on it because it's too thick. So sometimes these flatter cards aren't a bad way to go, and they look just as nice. So this again is just my 1/2 inch strip to decorate the bottom of the inside of my flap. And we're just gonna pop this on the inside. Hi, Pamela. Hi, Robin. All right, so that's the inside. That's the outside. All right, so I'm gonna show you, instead of doing the the circle, we did this die cut piece, or the punched piece from the stamp set and the coordinating punch. And I need to mount this on something because it doesn't look good just sitting there. So I need to punch, and I gotta think about how I have to do this. I have this little scrap and I need to feed it in, so I'm just gonna use a Post-it note as a handle. So I'm gonna slide that in and just pull the little piece of Post-it note off of there. Okay, so now these are exactly the same size. But all it's going to take is some quick snipping because these are straight lines. And I'm using my ribbon scissors for this. I never use my ribbon scissors on anything but ribbon. But my snips are in the mess. So I'm just trimming along the edges. They're simple, straight cuts. So as long as I don't shift my scissors, I should be able to do that relatively easily. And then I always use snail. Call me crazy, but I always use snail. Oh, my fast fuse twisted. I always use snail or fast fuse on Whisper White or Very Vanilla. I don't use the liquid glue because I find it doesn't adhere perfectly flat. The glue, it makes it cut, like it makes lines. I don't know. It just isn't perfectly smooth, and it's not very forgiving with the Very Vanilla and the Whisper White. So I always use a smooth adhesive like Fast Fuse or Snail or the old sticky strip or the Terran tape. That's just a tip, and it's just me. And you know I'm picky and anal, so only I would notice something like that. And now I'm looking for my dimensionals again, and they're all the way over there. So I'm just going to put a couple of dimensionals on this. Oops. All right, come on, Mary. You're down to the end. Get that backing off of there. All right, so I'm just going to line this up centered on my card, pretty much. And that card's done. So what do you think of that? Pretty easy, huh? I have my envelope. I can just come back later and add something to my envelope if I want when I finish off my greeting on the inside. So here's a bunch of different cards that have now been created using the exact same cut pattern and the exact same layout, just turning them vertically or horizontally. And if you remember, we still have this piece that I did earlier that needs to go on a card. And I still have a lot more paper to go. So that's it, folks. I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope I showed you something new and different or some new cut techniques. And again, remember that this True Gentleman Suite from our Occasions catalog is retiring. So as of now, the paper and the ink pad, the chocolate chip ink pad, there's also, I totally forgot, there's a chocolate chip and Tranquil Tide Stampin' Right marker combo. I don't know if that's still available or not, but that could be a way for you to grab your chocolate chip marker. You can also purchase, I was on earlier and it was still available, so I'm hoping it's still available now, the True Gentleman cardstock pack, which has your Crumb Cake Night of Navy and Tranquil Tide cardstocks. So you could create all of these cards and more because you get 12 sheets of designer series paper. So if you get six cards to a sheet and there's 12 sheets in a pack, if I do that math, that's what, 72 cards from one pack of designer series paper, right? And then you can get your markers, you can get your truly tailored bundle, your cardstock, and your ribbon, and you can make all those cards. And probably still have some pieces left over because we have those 1.5 by 12 inch strips to cut up for even more cards. So I hope you've enjoyed this glimpse into the True Gentleman Suite. And again, if you're interested in purchasing the supplies to make these cards, I'm offering my free gifts with purchase if you use this Live at 5 Hostess card. Live at 5 card class Hostess code. Try to say that 10 times fast. I can't say it once. And then there's also a unique Hostess code if you want to join my online Hostess club, order some of these great products, include that Hostess code and become a member of my 6-month club. I'd be happy to give you more information if you need it. So everyone, I hope you have a fabulous evening. Have a great weekend. Happy stamping, and I will see you again next Tuesday. I'm here if you have any questions. Talk to you later. Bye, Tracy in Australia. Thanks for joining. See you later. Bye, guys.